Hi, welcome to Jacky Rom Investigates. And yes, I am Jacky Rom. So, welcome to my show. I'll be chatting to lots of interesting people with amazing, extraordinary lives and just having a little chat. So, let's see who we've got on the show today.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Jackie. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Would you mind just telling my audience a little bit about what you do, and then we can just chat and discuss the cats behind you?
Yeah, because cats are delicious. I am a choreographer. I'm an ex-West End performer who used to do the touring circuit as well as the town. I work as a choreographer now, and I am also a tutor at various different colleges around the UK.
So let's just move slightly sideways. Tell me about the cats.
Yeah, so the cats, we've got Marilyn, who's the little white cat, who I've had for about 10 years, this one down.
Oh.
And originally she had, we got two little, what I thought were two little girly cats to begin with, and that was Marilyn and Audrey. And Audrey got like a lumpy vagina, and I got worried about it. So I took her to the vet and said, "Why does my cat have a lumpy vagina?" And they said they're testicles. So yeah, that was Audrey. Audrey had an interesting life. Audrey jumped out the window from the third floor and survived. There's something to do with dry cat food is not good for male neutered cats. Young male neutered cats developed all these crystals and then urinary infections and things and passed away. And then my flatmate decided that Marilyn needed a friend, so we got Ella. So Ella came to move in, and she's the Dark Destroyer. She literally tears the place to pieces.
Oh, really? That's really funny. Anyway, let's move. Now we know who's in the background.
Moving in and out.
Anthony, let's go back to the beginning. Where did you grow up in a family of performers?
No, I don't really know quite where it came from. I mean, I know that my granddad, my dad's dad, my granddad used to sing in the pubs, but that's about the only other person that we know that did something fairly creative. We don't really know quite where it came from. Weirdly, I used to walk on my tiptoes as a kid. Not that means anything. And it wasn't. We had a little caravan in Clacton, down in St Osyth's, and little Haven holiday camp, and they would run disco dancing competitions and their talent competitions. It was a really tiny little park, and one year they put some music on and you just throw yourself around aimlessly. And I won the little parks competition, so I got my place to nationals, which my mum was like, "Don't really think you're quite ready for nationals, do you, darling?" So we went to a local pantomime audition in Grays at the Thameside Theatre, and it said in the local rag that you needed to be grade 3 standard or above. Well, no idea what that meant. And then there was this crazy lady at the front, the choreographer, who was giving it like springboard change, pas de bourrée, hop hop drag. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what a pas de bourrée is. What are you on about? I got put in the reject group because clearly I was not very good. But I was just copying my friend, and she was like, okay, so like a split jeté just means run and do the splits in the air. So I was like, fine, I understand. Like Sugar Plum Fairy, jumping through the space across the Thameside stage. And she spoke to my parents afterwards. She just said, can I speak with your mum and dad? And because when we arrived, we kind of said, look, he's won this sort of competition. He's got no formal training. If he enjoys it, our local school was performers, and I was going to go and join there. Brian Rogers Performers College have a junior school, and I was going to go and join that. And the choreographer was Wendy Headford, who ran South East Theatre School at that time. And was in the process or may have just opened Masters Performing Arts College as the founder and principal of that school. And I was offered a scholarship to sets to begin with. She said, look, I don't poach kids. It's not what I'm about, but I have heard that he doesn't dance. I think the boy's got real promise. And she took me on, and then that became an unconditional scholarship that as long as I danced under her name, I didn't have to pay for tuition. So I went to South East Theatre School and then through Masters Performing Arts for 3 years, from 16 to 19, and graduated from there. So that's like how I got into the professional industry. But no, nobody really in the family, just me.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. No one in there. Do you remember just enjoying being on stage or something? Do you remember how it felt?
What as a performer? Like,
no, as a child, knowing that you wanted more.
Do you know what? It's an odd thing because I didn't really know what I wanted. You know, like I enjoyed it, but I didn't know why I enjoyed it the way that I did. What was odd for me was I started dancing at about 14, which is a really peculiar age for a boy, I think, just to kind of go, yeah, I want to kind of jump into this and find out more about it. I enjoyed it. There was a calling, I suppose, towards it, not like a spiritual thing, but there was just something about the freedom of the movement that I enjoyed, coming from that sort of disco dancing world of just interpreting music.
And at 14, how did it go at school? Did they know you danced?
Oh yeah, and it was not pleasant. It was not a pleasant time, and a lot of my my high school stuff I don't really remember. I don't really remember secondary school much. It was not a very good time. I was top set in school, so I was incredibly academic, as well as being the arts boy.
What's really a shame is nothing's changed.
No,
it's still the same today.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's better. I mean, my school changed very quickly when I was in year 11 in my final year. I was used with a bunch of the girls with different wigs on from different positions and different outfits to take photos. So it appeared that there were more boys dancing in the school, and then the school got its art status. I'm not saying it got it because of me or anything ridiculous like that, but it was a factor in them getting the grant to become an art status. And then the year I left, they built this beautiful purpose-built dance studio on site, and then they have boys' dance classes and whatever else, and it was suddenly a lot more accepted for the boys to be
That's fantastic.
to be dancing in the school, which is great. But you go, I had to put up with X amount of years of absolute torture for it then to be all right when you leave. I don't think I'm a trailblazer or anything ridiculous like that, but you have to start like going through all that crap. I just wish it would have been a little bit easier for me at school. I think it was also because I was torn in two ways. I was the arts boy. I was a total nerd. I was voted public enemy #1 in my yearbook at school for the person, just because I did my homework. I was, to all intents and purposes, I was a good boy.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I towed the line. Yes, miss, no, miss, 3 bags full, miss. I was not staff prefect. I was class prefect for all the badges down my tie, which just meant I could hang out in whatever department I wanted to in school and didn't have to be on the playground. So.
Do you know what that also shows? That you don't mind hard work, that you're determined.
Oh yeah, when I want something, I'm all in, always have been.
So now you've gone off to college and all of a sudden you've got to face the real world out there. What was your first step after graduating from college?
Oh, I was really lucky. I wasn't out of college very long. 6 weeks ish, and I maybe a little bit longer than that. But my first job was Cats, the UK tour of Cats, which was phenomenal. It had closed in London. So I joined that in 2004. I think Cats in Town had closed. It had done a year on tour through 2003, so it must have closed in town, I think, 2002. So the majority of the West End cast stayed with it after it came out of the New London, and then my company was the first big cast change. So I was with Cats from the very end of 2003 through to 2004.
That is a hard show, isn't it? I mean, technically hard work for your first show.
Yeah, it was a grueling show, and I was 19. I mean, lots of students now don't go to college until they're 18, 19 in some cases. So I was incredibly young, but I've said this to other people before. I think I've always had a fairly mature head on my shoulders. So as much as I was young in age, it kind of felt right to be doing that. Can
I ask, have you watched the film?
Yes.
Okay, tell me what you thought.
I thought it was a lot of style over substance, and I think there's an awful lot that probably was filmed that didn't go into it. I wanted more dance. I appreciated how they'd tweaked the story to look at it from the angle of the white cat being new. But some of the changes I liked, other changes I just thought were bonkers, and it seemed to be a celeb fest for the sake of it. I'd have appreciated it more had it have been full of talent and it was about the cats and the physical movement. And what's hard, I think, to translate that musical to a movie is that there is no real narrative to it, and they tried, and it felt like it could have gone somewhere, and then it didn't go anywhere at the end. She just jumped from the chandelier and flew out, and it all got very peculiar.
There was moments I just loved it, and moments where I despaired. I must say, I loved the ears. I love the CGI on the ears, the tails. I know others don't like it. I love, my favourite part was Skimbleshanks over and the view of London, dancing over the bridge. I loved that.
I thought some of it was really cinematic.
Yeah, it was.
I thought that the ears I was like, what's going on? I didn't quite. And I know that they're human beings. Like, I get it. I know that they're singing cats and they're dancing, and I get it. They're not real. But on the same token, right, either go the full 9 yards or don't. Like, why did the lady cat still have to have like human breasts? Like, then I just don't understand. And human hands. So why did they not CGI the hands out, but they'll put these weird twitchy ears on? There were a couple of times where like all the tails stuck up on end, and I just went, what is that?
What's been fun is it has been a talking piece. It's been a real conversation starter, that film.
It's been a real Marmite movie, I think. And I think there's some bits in it that are great, and I really like that it does open up. It opens up conversation, and it certainly opens up the ability to, working as a choreographer, to take something which is as iconic as it is, Gillian's work from Cats, and to reinvent it, and how we can reinvent stuff moving forward. So like, without reinventing the wheel, like, you're still telling the story, but how things can move along and should move along for modern audiences. But I also just thought it was odd. Some of the scale stuff, like the Skimbleshanks, why were they so tiny and all able to fit on the railway?
I like that bit. That was my favourite.
I mean, it was lovely, but if it had been like more to scale, I could have bought into it. All of a sudden, they've got like dinner forks, which are not to hold a knife and fork. How's 12 of them managing to stand on one railway line? I just really hurt my head.
that's you looking at it from a choreographer's point of view. I totally understand that. So let's go back. So after Cats.
And why did she have a drippy nose all the time? That was the one that really got me. Just somebody pass Jennifer a tissue.
Sorry, she wasn't my favourite. She sang with an American accent. Everybody else had British. I found that most peculiar. So suddenly went a transatlantic. Anyway, what happened after Cats?
After I was in Cats, it was a bit weird actually, because Cats was supposed to go back into town. It was supposed to go back into the New London. No, it wasn't. Into the Cambridge, and we'd all been signed and contracted to do it, and it was going to be a massive, like, star-studded event. They were bringing back some of the top talents that had been in the show over the years to either reprise their roles or to play. I think like Wayne Sleep was going to come back and he was going to be playing Bustopher and Gus.
Oh.
A few roles changing, but they were going to bring back some like proper lovely celebrity types, names and whatever else. And then that got cancelled, which then meant I spent about 9 months out of work because of not auditioning and thinking that you're going to town. And then having that pulled, you're not auditioning, so you're not looking for that next gig. We're not hustling. So it just left you in a position of going back to square one and going to first rounds that are looking for 6 months longer down the line. So yeah, I mean, I hustled and worked some restaurant jobs and whatever else. And because I wasn't landing anything, the gremlins were creeping in for me. And I started to think, right, if I don't land anything by the end, I gave myself a year and I was going to go back to college. I was going to go and try and do an MA. I know I can dance. Maybe it's the voice and the acting that needs some work. I'll do another year. And then I was really lucky in towards the tail end of 2005, I landed My Fair Lady, which was the 50th anniversary production. It was the Cam Mack production that had been at Drury Lane, slightly scaled down, obviously, because it was going out on tour, starring Amy Nuttall, Christopher Casanova, Honor Blackman, bless them, who's no longer with us, Stephen, who's no longer with us. Beautiful company. I had such a stunning time on that show. It was a strictly 51-week tour. We all knew what we had, and because you knew you had that end date and it was finishing as the show was going to America, everybody just had the best time. I made some incredible friends on it. It was opulent. I was a swing again for the second time. Having swung Cats, I was a swing again for My Fair Lady.
Anthony, for those that don't know what a swing is, because not everybody listening knows what a swing is.
It's not something weird. In a weird subculture sort of. Swing is the term that we give to somebody in theatre who understudies the ensemble, basically. So they're your subs, but rather than playing like a football match and a sub only goes into one track or one place on the field, a swing can go into multiple parts. So I think on Cats I understudied something like 12. It was a lot. And then My Fair Lady was the same. I think it might have been 10 or 11. But you learn everything in the show and then you just go on.
Does that make it more interesting, being able to play all these different parts rather than the same part day after day?
I think so. It appeals to my nosy nature. It appeals to my need to learn stuff. It appealed to me in having variety. The hard thing with swing, particularly on tour, is that you're not always on. So if you are off stage and you're hanging about and you might not be on for a couple of weeks, you've got to keep yourself match fit, ready to get back on again.
And that sounds like being in lockdown.
Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, you might be singing in a vocal booth, while everybody else is dancing, so you're supporting the show in your own way. You get a little perk, like you might be able to go home a bit early, / to the pub a bit early, which is not like lockdown because there are no pubs.
No.
But it's when you see everybody else get sick and they don't go off because they're living in digs and they don't want to go back to like their little old lady's house because there's no Sky Plus or whatever else, and you kind of think, please just go off. That's my job is here to keep going, and people get very attached to their roles and the parts that they're playing.
When did you start choreographing? When did you kind of move?
I
sidestep.
I shifted around. Hang about. While I was at Billy Elliot, I started assisting. While I was working in town, I started doing some assisting work, and then that kind of rattled on for a few years, and then I think it must have been around 2015-ish. What year is we now?
20.
Yeah, 20. It must have been 2015-ish that I properly moved into choreographing my own material, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I loved the assisting, and I loved helping somebody create their own brand and finding their choreographic voice. But there's nothing like doing your own stuff, and just coming up with ideas and solutions to problems. And I think of it as like, it's like human Sudoku. How do I get these people from here to there and tell a story at the same time, which I find fascinating.
If we weren't on lockdown, what would you be doing?
I would have just choreographed over Easter for Chichester Uni's production of Fiddler on the Roof, which got pulled. I would have choreographed a piece for the Jazz Company's UK tour. I would probably right now be in the colleges getting ready for show term. And
So you've built up that really quickly, really, all that work.
Yeah, I've been kind of lucky. I think it's weird. I mean, as much as we shouldn't, I think we all do compare ourselves to other people, and I see lots of my peers landing stuff, and I think, ooh, how did you get that? And who do you know? How do I find out about getting not their job, obviously, because that's theirs.
Yeah.
But how do I get in and get myself known by that group of people, so that if something else comes up, or what other groups of people are happening, how do I get myself involved with other producers and other directors?
Do you have a show that you just dream of choreographing?
Do you know what? Not massively. Even as a performer, as long as I was working, I was happy. I have a real love for new writing, for new musicals, and that's, I think, I thought before lockdown, and particularly now, this could be the real opportunity for the new wave of creatives, the new writers, new emerging directors, emerging choreos, to kind of come up with the goods collectively and collaboratively, and to get some new writing put forwards, and to really help that side of our industry along, and let's challenge it. If we're to have smaller audiences and whatever else, perhaps let's put some new stuff out there and see what happens. But
I know very quickly after we started this lockdown, you were proactive.
Oh, really quickly.
Really quickly. And
yeah.
Was that because of your just keeping your mind going, keeping business going? What kind of made you think, right, I've got to do something? I did the same.
Yeah, I can't be idle. That I can procrastinate, but I can't be idle. if I don't have something to do, yeah, I'm not very good at that. Why did I just saw I just saw my industry get ripped to pieces, and I just saw my diary empty. Within 3 days, I'd lost all my teaching, I'd lost all my choreographic work, and I'd lost uh, every income stream I currently had. And I just thought, nah, how do I fix this? This isn't right. And I think something that creative people do so well is adapt. And if I can't do something also for my community, and my tribe of people, then I think that's quite sad too. So like one of the first things I did was it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, was I set up a free class for anybody who wanted to come.
I saw that because I shared it with our students immediately.
I've had loads of my students from different colleges coming in, and even if it's just a place for them to connect together and whatever else. And I've seen some of my teaching colleagues and old show chums coming by, which has been really lovely. I spoke to a couple of producers about, let's try and do some stuff and what can we fathom out. Yeah, it just feels weird for me not to be working, and I can't sit. I mean, even now, I think I've had 2 entire days to myself in lockdown where I've read books and tried to switch my brain off, because otherwise I'm taking classes, I'm trying to build business ventures, I'm trying to meet with creatives online. I am
Are you on your own working like this? Or no, sorry, what I meant is, are other people thinking like you in the business?
Yeah, I think so. I think that from what I can gather and the people that I'm talking to, there's lots of camaraderie around at the moment. There's lots of people connecting with each other to either share their knowledge or to improve themselves, and right now people are available, so it seems like the right time to try and connect with people, and to chat. And it's not the same as face to face, but whatever you keep hearing this term, the new normal, but actually I quite enjoy it. I'm enjoying this idea of being able to connect with people without having to necessarily traipse all the way into Central. It saves everybody time, and I think it is still as personal or personable as meeting face to face. If anything, I think it takes the pressure off, because you're both in your own comfort zones, and you just get that little bit of someone's personality. Like you see my cats wandering around, and you see that the sofa and the naffal cushions and the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? And
Anthony, I'm in my bedroom, I'm under the stairs, and I've turned into my own editor, director, costume, makeup, lighting, sound.
Right at the show. I mean, I've got light boxes, which is because of the online teaching I've got. As it gets darker in here, I need the light, which that's been a godsend to have. And it's been it's showing my flatmates I'm not around, and doing ISO on my own is hard, a bit weird. But it has meant that I can turn my living room into a dance studio.
So you started offering free classes. Did you then kind of say, right, if you want to dance with me, this is the cost?
I did one choreo class, because I think the way my head's working is yes, I am an instructor and whatever else, and I do get paid for that professionally. But when I'm doing my free class, I'm doing it for myself.
Sure.
As well. So, and I'm not really giving out too much in the way of corrections. I'll throw a few things in the mix, but I don't think it's not a value class.
Gotcha.
It's if I was giving my expertise and I was watching that group of people doing their thing,
Mhm.
then and I was like correcting along the way, then I would say, do you know what? You guys should pay for that because that's my
Expertise.
that's my expertise, that's my knowledge, and that's what I do. And that's why when I did one choreo class, I think I charged, I think it was £3.50, and I put it through a booking thing, and they took 50p for the booking. But I run open class on a Thursday at base anyway, so that doesn't feel like it's out of the norm for me to do that.
What's your plans? Have you got plans for when we do get let out, or are you working on things now? Oh, I saw that face. I shouldn't. I don't even know. Look, none of us know, do we? We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how long we're going to be here.
I think because everything is so unknown, all we can do is deal with the here and now. And as like we've heard in the news this week, that we are potentially going to be seeing some sort of shift towards a loosening of the lockdown or some sort of return to normal, because the economy is about to implode on itself, which is fine. But I can't see big groups of people, i.e. 30 kids in a sweaty dance studio, all being back together dancing. We can't make that socially distant. So I've got a feeling that my teaching is going, for the colleges that I'm currently doing, is going to remain online. I can't see how. I know that the TV stuff are saying, yeah, we're going back. I've read like Emmerdale and Corrie and the soaps are going to go back, but they're going to try and do filming with social distance, which, okay, fine, lovely. But that doesn't work in theatre. When you're up close and personal and you're in frame and you're dancing with someone, or you've got a love scene and your hand holds and you've got to kiss, you can't do that in a socially distant way. So I can't really see the theatre scene coming back for a while, unless everything is going in concert. So everybody's on their mic stands and all spread out.
Hold on, didn't you do one of those? Because we went to watch. It was fabulous.
Yeah, I've done.
What
I've
was
done
it?
them. Did you come to see Mac and Mabel?
Yes,
LMP
it was, and the voices of the
stunning.
our cast was fabulous, and it was so nice to see a concert, something just a bit different.
Well, it makes you listen to the story a little bit more,
Yes.
and those actors are still incredibly engaged in the story and the narrative they're telling you. They're not just standing there parking and barking. They're still involved in it. But there's just that air of being able to breathe a little bit more with it.
There was a class. It was classy. I don't know why that word comes to mind, but there was something about it that was classy. And do you know what? I think musical theatre in the last 10 years has evolved, and it is now, it's huge.
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a bigger call for it. It is huge. I just want, for me, musical theatre, I would like to see some more new stuff.
Yeah.
Have a chance. And I know, like, you've got Hamilton, which has been phenomenal, and currently we've got And Juliet and Six. It's the things like Six that I really champion, because it is new writing. It went to Edinburgh, it came back and played the Arts Theatre, now it's on the cruise ships, it's built up its fan following. It was supposed to open on Broadway.
I saw on Broadway Something Rotten.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was incredible. And it was written for a British audience. It's about Shakespeare, and it was phenomenally successful. But it hasn't come here, and I really don't understand why, because it's very fast paced and very wordy, and we would understand everything, where the Americans, it goes straight over their heads. A lot of the puns and whatever, and I think it's such a shame that it hasn't come here.
Yeah, I don't know about that show particularly. There's lots of stuff that I think it's been a shame that hasn't come over. Um, Maybe we'll see it happen if it doesn't happen on a big scale. That we see lots of those small off West End houses
Yeah.
like our Southwarks and our Hope Mills and our
Menuet.
Menuets and the Charing Crosses
Yeah.
and the Union. They take on these off West End or Broadway off Broadway or Broadway shows that haven't jumped across the pond and kind of scale them back and turn them into slightly more chamber musicals. So maybe we'll see something like that with it if it doesn't come over commercially.
Now I've got a very important question.
Oh, here we go.
Are you on TikTok?
Absolutely not.
I knew you were going to say that. I just
Absolutely not. I
Are you
don't.
a secret viewer?
I just don't understand it.
I think it's been brilliant for ordinary people that are locked down and are being creative. It's the creativeness of it I love.
It's fun. No, I've like, and the stuff I've seen, I'm like, oh yeah, fun on it. Like all this like finger touching stuff and people wandering around in the gardens just being silly and like the lip syncing stuff. And yeah, it's a great little thing for amusement. I just don't. I mean, I I have issues on putting my face on stuff anyway. I get I get a bit funny about me being me in an odd way.
I know, because I mean, I've spoken to everybody I've interviewed, and when I said to you, "Can I interview you?" you went, "Me? What do you want to interview me for?" And I thought, "Oh, you're so interesting," and our interviewers proved it. But
I just think I'm properly beige, and I don't
you
think.
know what, Anthony, you are inspiring. Especially, I mean, I teach teenagers, and I know the trouble that young boys of 14 to 18 struggle with wanting to perform but feeling pulled. And talking to you where they can hear your story is really inspiring to these young men.
Yeah, I mean, that's lovely. That's really, really sweet of you. I think I'm an inspiration? No. I something I just say, I say to my students as well all the time is, you do you. Just crack on with what makes you happy. I don't think I've lived anything out of the ordinary. I've seen lots of people do things what I would deem to be much more exciting than I've ever done.
Do you know what? I think that's not it. It's that you had a goal and you ploughed through, and you have different goals and you've reached them, and that's really important for young people to know that goals can be achieved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've achieved everything that I wanted to achieve, I think. And if I haven't achieved it, I've been at a position where I've gone, I'm happy with that. I think that's something else.
Do you still have goals?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be a full-time choreographer and to earn my trade just doing that. And I would love to choreograph new musicals or a couple of big musicals and transfer one over to Broadway. But they are goals / dreams. Will they happen? I don't know. All I can do is work towards it in the hope that my talent, my luck, my connections come together one day. But I also realize it's a marathon and it's not a sprint, and it won't happen quickly, and it may happen for somebody else before it happens to me / it may never happen for me.
Do you know what's really important is what you said. It is a mix of talent, luck, people you know. It's a bit of all of that where young people need to know that it's not just one thing. You have to. It's hard work. You have to make your own. You have to make your own luck. You have to network. You have to do all those things because you can't just dream.
No, if you sit there and just say one day it's gonna fall in my lap, it really isn't. The work side of things is hard, and I think ultimately, like, the phrase that always does stay with me is like, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. And I know that my talent is whatever I've got, X level, but I know that the thing I can always improve on is how hard I work / how efficiently I work, because sometimes working hard doesn't get you any further forward. Sometimes you have to kind of take a step back or reassess or work efficiently, because if you're working too hard and you burn out, then you're no use to anybody else either.
And you know what I think is so important is passion. I think passion gets you the next level. There's something attractive about passion. And that's what musical, performing, musical theatre, any of what we do is the passion that's attractive.
I think any artist has a fire in their belly in some way, shape or form, whether that's an actor, whether that's a painter, whether that's even sports people, where that crossover happens, they have a fire in their belly to achieve something. Scientists, writers, I just think those people that are successful in something, it's in there. They want to do something, and I think it's also, for me, it's always been good to remember that the length of the ladder is different for everybody, and just because you can always try to be better, but say you leave college and you go and open your own dancing school and you become a business owner and an entrepreneur with your own dancing school. That's been your ladder, and that's what you've done, and that's where the end of your ladder, but that's still really successful. Somebody else might have trained with you and gone to West End work and whatever else. That's great. Other people, and it depends on how you deem it, is being a lead in the West End more successful than somebody that choreographed a show? Is it? And
it's all relevant and it's all successful.
Yeah, and everybody will get to a different place and stop because that's the end of their ladder. Or sometimes you move on to a different ladder which might take you up a little bit higher because that's your dream moves. You're still within the same industry, or one dream might spark something else. Performers, you've trained as a performer, you've tried it, you didn't really like it, you've become an agent.
Exactly. It's all good background and it's all knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. But
and on that note,
that's bad or that's good.
Exactly. On that note, I just want to say thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For someone who didn't want to chat, we've just done nearly an hour.